What's up, my American History 2 friends? Mr. Slyway coming to you from gloomy Monday here. Not so purty out, but hey, it is what it is, right? So we're going to talk about America and the United States and the Allies in the European uh, kind of center of the war during World War II today. And the next video, or next class, we'll talk about the Pacific theater of the war, all right? So the European War, the plan of attack from the Allies was to defeat Germany first, right? We got to take out Germany first before we can deal with Japan in the Pacific, because we have to keep Hitler from controlling all of Europe. If he takes over Europe, he's going to be able to create a stronghold, a base where to launch all of his operations from. It's going to be a major problem, right? So Stalin wants the United States to immediately put boots on the ground. He wants troops on the ground ASAP. He wants to get out there. He wants to deal with Adolf Hitler immediately. All right. The Soviets had been fighting Germany and Hitler alone for a year, and they had mass casualties. All right. So the Soviets wanted help almost as quickly as possible. So by late 1942, Britain, along with the United States, started launching airstrikes over Germany as a way to kind of soften things up so that Russia didn't have to deal with everything, or the Soviet Union, excuse me, didn't have to deal with everything kind of on their own. All right. Around the same time, we have an issue going on in North Africa. The Allies are going to run what's called Operation Torch in October of 1942. They believe they have to control the northern part of Africa in order to protect Allied troops who are going to attempt to invade Italy. All right. Italy was seen kind of as a weak point in Europe, as one of the easier places to invade and possibly take hold of. So that was one of the main targets when the Allies really started pushing towards defeating Germany and Adolf Hitler. Okay. Around that time, one of the biggest battles that occurs in all of World War II is the Battle of Stalingrad. It's really famous. Stalingrad is not that important of a city, but it bears Joseph Stalin's namesake. So he wants it defended no matter what. Stalingrad is in Russia, all right? So Russia decides to absolutely dig in and not allow Germany to overrun Stalingrad. It's one of the more famous stories. Russia, it'll be a turning point of the war because Russia will win this battle. They will hold Germany off. Some very famous people will come out of it. Vasily Zaitsev, he's probably the most decorated sniper in all of World War II. There's a great movie called Enemy at the Gates about it. But Stalingrad's a really big deal because it will be a turning point of the European kind of theater during this time period. After that, Churchill and FDR, Churchill obviously being of Britain, FDR of the United States, will meet in French Morocco in a place called Casablanca, the Casablanca Conference. Okay, very famous, obviously, if you've seen that movie as well, all right? Churchill and FDR are going to agree to invade Sicily first. All right, Sicily is obviously part of Italy today, but prior to that, small area outside of it. So they would agree to invade Sicily first and then full-on invade Italy with the intent of requesting an unconditional full surrender from Germany. And again, Italy's seen as the weakest point to attack in this part of Europe, so that is the target area for the Allies. All right, Italy's going to fall. The attack works. Italy will surrender in September of 1943. Rome won't be taken until June of 1944, but eventually it will be taken as well. All right. This will bring on what's called the Tehran Conference. Britain, the United States, and the Soviets will all actually physically meet for the first time, kind of the big three. Okay? Their goal is to create a two-front war. Again, think World War I for Germany. So they're fighting on both the Eastern and Western Front. Again, it's very hard to defend that. So what's going to happen is the Allies are going to plan to attack France. It'll be their job to take out the Western Front. All right? So they're going to plan to attack France, where Germany has a stronghold during this point, all right, and specifically Normandy. This is going to lead to D-Day, Operation Overlord, which is the parachute drop, the paratrooper drop, and the Battle of Normandy. Again, lots of movies coming out of this time period, all right, Saving Private Ryan, probably the most famous about this situation. But again, June 6th, 1944, General Eisenhower, is going to lead the Allies in the largest amphibious invasion in world history. Um, it's going to be massive. It'll be nicknamed the longest day. The ships the amphibious vehicles will pull up in treacherous waters, trying to break through mines, then landmines, then barbed wire, then hills, then pillboxes, which are these concrete boxes that the Germans shot out of. If the Allies lose this battle, it's very likely that the war will continue and that Germany is going to get the upper hand. So it is a massive victory. France will go on to be liberated by the Allies on August 25th of 1944. And by September, most of Northern Europe is now set free and under Allied control. As soon as that happens, General George S. Patton, like the U.S. Army's pit bull, is sent in with his tank brigade to push deep into Germany, right? He was fighting in Northern Africa and France at the time, but he's going to lead his tank brigade deep into Germany, all right after D-Day. That's going to be a massive, massive deal. We'll talk a little bit more about Patton later on, but it's going to be a big deal because he fully breaks the German lines, okay? In 1944, in the United States, we're going to have an election. FDR is going to be elected to an unprecedented fourth term in office. Americans don't want him out. They believe he can see them through the war. His vice president will be Harry S. Truman, all right? Obviously, he will become president as well, all right? In December of 1944 to January of 1945, we'll get the Battle of the Bulge. It's really Germany's last push, last attempt to salvage this war. They're going to break through the American lines, the Bulge line, in a thick fog, so the United States can't use air support against them. But the United States and the Allies are going to hold them off. It's going to be a big German loss, kind of their last major loss in Europe. The Big Three will meet after that in Yalta, at the Yalta Conference. The Big Three, again, being Britain, Soviet Union, United States, with agreements about how this is going to be dealt with when the war is over. Free elections in Eastern Europe, and temporarily dividing Germany after the war. When we get to the Cold War and we talk about the Berlin Wall and all of that, we will get into how this division occurred under military units, okay? FDR is going to die on April 12th of 1945, unfortunately. And that's really going to mark the end of the war in Europe. Germany is being attacked on both sides by the USSR and the Allies on the other side. The United States primarily. And April of 1945, U.S. and Soviet troops are going to meet in Berlin, Germany, and declare the end of the war. On May 8th of 1945, it will be declared Victory in Europe Day, and that will be the end of the European theater in World War II. All right? Next video, we're going to talk about the Pacific Theater and Japan and dealing with the fallout from Pearl Harbor. Hope you're all doing well. Keep your heads up. See you later.